Welcome to the Deep Dive. Tonight we're going to really get into a compelling story. It starts with something incredibly ordinary, actually, something you probably have at home right now. Just a single cup of instant noodles.
Right, seems small.
Exactly. But what started with that simple cup on a winter night in a high school baseball dorm, well, it spiraled. It became this months-long fracture that really forced a whole community to look closely, not just at the team, but at these systems of adults around it.
That's it. And our mission today really is to trace this chronologically. We're using our source, the Summer the band Noodles, to guide us. And like you said, this isn't just a sports story. It's a much deeper look at how institutions behave, how accountability, actually works or sometimes doesn't.
Yeah, and finding that balance, right? Between tradition, which is so strong in these settings, and the basic need for safety. Transparency, too.
Absolutely, that delicate balance.
It's fascinating how the source lays it all out, from that winter night right through to midsummer. It shows how a seemingly minor thing just grows. And I'm really interested in how these simple facts, these verifiable events, lead to these huge questions about, well, governance.
And it forces us, doesn't it, to look past just the individuals involved. It really pushes us to understand the underlying structures, those forces that kind of operate behind the scenes, often far away from the actual baseball field.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We start January 22nd, 2025. So picture it. High school baseball dorm. You've got a first-year student and that forbidden cup of instant noodles. Maybe just trying to get a little comfort,
Or maybe pushing boundaries just a tiny bit.
Could be. Then 4 second-year players decide to reprimand him. And the source is specific about the violence here.
Hey, listen up.
Slapping the cheek and chest, grabbing his collar, pressing on his abdomen, shoving his chest out in the hallway. It's a clear picture, a disturbing one.
And what's really sobering, I think, is that we can list those actions off, clinically in just a few seconds. But the source talks about the feeling, the air of that moment.
Right.
The pain, the fear, the shame, isolation, it just hangs there. And it makes you ask, doesn't it? Who should have stepped in? Who should have thinned that air? At what point should an adult hand have reached in and just stopped it?
Critical questions.
Yeah.
Because something clearly went wrong there. So what happened right after?
Well, the source says the 4 players did apologize to the first-year student.
Okay.
But by the end of March, that student transferred schools. He left.
Okay.
The school then reported it, followed procedure, went through the Prefectural Federation, then up to the National High School Baseball Federation.
And the official response?
It came in March, a strict caution for the team. And those 4 specific players, they were told they couldn't play in any official games for 1 month, starting from when the incident was discovered.
So procedures followed, boxes ticked.
Exactly. Stamps accumulated on paper, as the source puts it quite well. But the real consequence, the stamp if you will, stayed with the student who left.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly why he chose to leave, the source doesn't say, but the fact that he did, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? It points to this deeper cost that wasn't really addressed by the official warnings or the temporary suspensions.
It really makes you question how effective those internal measures actually are when the human impact is that significant. The process worked on paper, maybe, but did it solve the actual problem for the person affected?
That's the core issue, I think. It might address the symptom, the specific acts of violence, but maybe not the underlying sickness, the culture that allowed it.
Right.
A caution satisfies a checklist, sure, but does it change the environment? Does it truly acknowledge the impact on the victim? Real effectiveness needs to be corrective for the perpetrators, yes, but also restorative for the victim. And it needs commitment to stop it happening again.
Which often means looking beyond just those 4 players.
Exactly, looking at the whole system.
Okay, so then things get, well, even more complicated. As summer gets closer, the story starts to bubble up online, right?
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. Social media starts buzzing. Claims emerge, more than 10 involved, people were saying, and allegations of vicious verbal abuse, too, things the school hadn't mentioned.
So a different narrative starts taking hold online. How did the school react to that?
Well, they did their own interviews again, and their official response was no, it was just the 4 students involved in the violence, and they couldn't confirm any new facts about verbal abuse.
So you immediately have this clash, the official story versus the rapidly spreading online version.
And it shows that contrast so clearly, doesn't it? Social media moves at lightning speed, facts or not. Institutional checks are slower, more methodical, sometimes frustratingly opaque.
Yeah.
Time can reveal truth, sure, but it can also feed rumor like crazy. Anger builds, expectations inflate. The school ends up constantly playing catch-up, trying to put out these digital fires.
And while that's happening, another layer gets added. A totally separate issue comes up.
That's right. Completely separate allegations surface, these ones dating back to 2023.
Okay.
And these involved coaches and some players. Not related to the Noodle incident directly, but it definitely complicated the picture. It hinted at maybe a broader pattern, something potentially systemic.
So not just one bad incident, but maybe deeper issues. What did the school do about those claims?
They set up a third-party committee, that was in June, to investigate these older, separate allegations.
A third-party committee, okay. That sounds like the right step.
It does, but the school also stated that their own internal checks hadn't confirmed these claims yet, and they'd wait for the committee's findings.
So more waiting.
Exactly. And as our source points out, this waiting has a cost. Silence isn't always golden, right? Especially when the public is already suspicious. It creates a vacuum, lets speculation run wild, and makes people distrust the timing, even if the investigation is thorough.
Okay, so the pressure is building from multiple angles. Then we get to the summer tournament itself. Koryo plays its first game, August 7th, and they win.
Yeah, you can picture it, can't you? The big game, the crowds, youth gleaming like unblemished glass, as the source says. A moment where maybe, just maybe, the sport itself could take center stage again.
But it didn't last. The win didn't quiet things down.
No, not at all. The public pressure just kept intensifying. Concerns about safety for the school, for the community became really prominent, and that distrust about the timing of disclosures, it just deepened.
Sounds like they were trapped.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So August 10th, just 3 days after their win, the school announced it was withdrawing from the tournament.
Wow.
And the tournament office accepted. Koryo's summer ended right there. Not because of a loss on the field, but because of everything swirling around them.
That image from the source. Sweat did not vanish into the dirt. It caught in our throats. That really hits home.
It does. It wasn't about athletic performance. It was about these external pressures, these systemic problems that finally became too big to ignore or manage internally. It makes you ask, why did it take reaching that point?
That is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why did it unfold like this? What is it about the system itself that allowed things to get to this point? It's clearly not just about one fight over noodles.
No. And to understand that, our source talks about what it calls the three-part engine, often found in these elite school teams.
Okay, what are the parts?
Dorm life, number 1. Long, intense hours of practice, number 2. And number 3, a really rigid senior-junior hierarchy with the coach sort of presiding over everything.
Right, a very specific environment.
Very. And in that kind of environment, things like endurance, grit, pushing through pain, they get heavily praised. Severity can start to look like virtue. Pain gets reframed as, discipline for the team.
So a culture where pushing limits is the norm, and maybe complaining or showing weakness is frowned upon.
Exactly. It can create this insulated world where the drive to win might start to overshadow basic well-being.
And that structure, that engine, what does it enable? Or maybe what does it make almost inevitable?
Well, it creates a situation where coaches have enormous power, right? Over playing time, over futures. Parents might hesitate to rock the boat because they don't want to jeopardize their kids' chances.
Understandable, yeah.
Schools are chasing that prestige, the wins. Alumni often want to protect the tradition, the purity of it all.
So you have all these different groups with interests that kind of mesh together.
Precisely. And the source argues that the tighter these interests mesh, the more likely it is that misconduct just gets absorbed, kind of smoothed over, as long as it doesn't leak out.
Like a well-sealed greenhouse that protects the flowers and kills the breeze. That's a powerful metaphor from the source.
It really is. It suggests that for a long time, the authorities relied on these programs to manage themselves, which leads to uneven standards, opaque punishments.
Yeah.
The focus shifts to the calendar, the prestige, the show, and kids' safety can end up taking a back seat.
And the summer tournament, it's not just any tournament. It's got this whole mythology around it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Polished narratives, choreographed emotion, national attention.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. Sponsorship, media, the whole spectacle. It's almost like a ritual.
Which leads to that really tough question the source poses.
Yeah.
Do you protect the show, or do you illuminate the truth?
Yeah. And it's hard to do both perfectly at the same time. The source points out the more beautiful that ritual is, the deeper the shadows it can cast. Those images we see, the shaved heads, the bowing, smoothing the dirt, they're powerful, but they can harden into something that hides the hurt.
So the show itself isn't the problem necessarily?
No, not inherently. The problem starts when transparency, when safety, gets delayed or compromised because of the show. We need to redraw those lines. Recognize that the game's integrity is tied completely to the integrity of the system around it.
Okay, so that lays out the systemic issues really clearly. Given that dramatic withdrawal and everything we've discussed, what are the solutions? How do we actually change this? The source offers some concrete steps, right?
Yes, it does. 7 specific proposals aimed at real change. First, external, non-negotiable safeguarding.
Meaning?
Independent channels. Outside the schools, outside the federations. Mandated reporting for violence, harassment. Making third-party investigations the default, not the exception. Anonymous hotlines. Basically, retiring that whole phrase, handled internally.
Get rid of the potential conflict of interest. Makes sense. What's next?
Second, separate the show from the rules. Governance needs to be by an independent body, free from conflicts. Media can cover it, sponsors can support it, but they shouldn't govern it. Journalism protects truth, not just the ritual.
That sounds challenging, given how intertwined sports and media often are.
It is challenging. Power and money are big hurdles, but it's crucial for genuine oversight. Third, don't turn grit into policy.
Okay, unpack that one.
Cap practice hours. Ban collective punishment, punishing the whole team for one person's mistake. Enforce pitch counts, rest days, make mental health support standard, institutionalized, require coaching licenses that include safeguarding training and make sure they get renewed, and crucially, includes safety itself as a core metric of success.
Safety is a metric, not just wins and losses. That would be a huge cultural shift.
It changes the whole incentive structure. Success becomes about the well-being of the athletes, physically and mentally, not just the scoreboard. Coaches become accountable for creating a humane environment.
Right. What's number 4?
Fourth, default to transparency. Publish sanctions anonymized, but concrete. Let communities see patterns, see how things are being handled. Set disclosure timing based on the needs of the people affected, not the tournament schedule. The source nails it. Sunlight deters, secrecy repeats.
That seems vital for rebuilding trust, if people can see what's happening.
Exactly. It validates victims, deters wrongdoing because actions have visible consequences. Fifth, teach rights up front.
How so?
An onboarding package for every player, every parent, clearly outlining their rights, the reporting routes, what healthy coaching actually looks like, because, as the source says, unknown rights are unused rights.
And making sure it's not just a piece of paper they sign, right? But something they actually understand and feel empowered to use.
Absolutely. Regular, accessible education, maybe from independent third parties, showing that reporting is safe and leads to action. Sixth, a modern crisis protocol.
What does that involve?
In the first 48 hours after an incident, put out a standard transparency kit, what facts are confirmed, what's the investigation timeline, when will there be updates, fill the information vacuum before rumors take over. Silence is not always golden.
Especially now, with how fast misinformation spreads online. Takes control of the narrative early.
Precisely. Shays commitment, builds trust. And finally, number 7, alumni who polish tradition, not just protect it.
Interesting distinction.
Alumni groups should be supportive, yes, but they also need to play a checking role, asking tough questions about coaching structures, about the environment. The source puts it beautifully. The ability to criticize is a form of love.
That's a powerful idea. Shifting from just defending the past to actively ensuring the future health of the program. It requires redefining loyalty, maybe.
I think so. It's a love that prioritizes the current players, the children, over just the championship banners of the past. A commitment to integrity today.
So we've really come full circle, haven't we? From that one cup of noodles to these deep insights about adult systems, transparency, child protection. It applies way beyond baseball, of course, to any high-stakes environment involving young people. And the key takeaway seems to be that reform, that accountability. It doesn't diminish the activity, it actually sharpens it. It makes sure the summer drama rings true.
Exactly. It ensures the foundation is solid. The questions that linger are important, though. Who sets the standards for sanctions? How do we guarantee independence? Can we really separate governance from the spectacle?
And that final, really provocative question from the source.
Yeah. In an era where youth populations are shrinking, where do we, as a society, relocate the meaning of winning?
Something for all of us to think about long after this deep dive ends. How do we define success, really?
The answers will shape what next summer and all the summers after actually sound like. If we protect the children first, maybe the cheers just ring clearer.